Your face.
Join me, Patrick O'Morris, for the Patrick O'Morris Show right here on iLive Web Radio, Sunday afternoons from 2 to 3 p.m.
Hey, what about me?
Naida, hi.
Hi.
Who let you in the studio?
You're trying to record without me?
Okay, let me try this one more time since you're here. Join me, Patrick O'Morris, for the Patrick O'Morris Show right here on iLive Web Radio with my co-host, Naila T.
Hello. See you next Sunday, 2 to 3 p.m.
This is John Brodsky. If I'm not snapping necks, cashing checks, wearing the large specs, I'm tuned into iLive Radio.
You're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio. iLive Radio.
O'Morris Show. It's Naila T. Patrick is not with us today. I get a little break from all the smack talk, from him telling me about my hair, from him trying to hook me up with people, random dudes. It's quiet and peaceful for me today, so I'm very happy. But with me in the studio, I have D'bi.young, renowned poet. I was just, before we came on the air, I was telling her that I've been following her for a really long time.
Made me infamously aware of my increasing gray hairs.
But it is an honor to talk to you today, for sure. So let me just do a brief introduction for those who don't know who D'bi.young is. She is. The list is pretty long.
No,
she's pretty accomplished.
All of that. Oh my
I'm not
God.
gonna read the whole thing. No, it's too long. She's a Canadian poet of honor. YWCA, a woman of distinction. She's a dub poet, a playwright, a monodramatist, an activist, an awesome person, a mother of two. Like, just pick a title, she has it at this point. She's done so many things in the arts. It's amazing to be talking to you today.
It's absolutely an honor to be here.
Welcome. So where do we start? I guess I kind of want to start from most recent and then maybe work backwards. So I guess most recently you've been in the news for your drama, trying to get back into like, here's someone who writes drama. Now she actually lived out a drama at the airport. So I think the people want to know.
I try to keep it to the stage, like I live a relatively simple, really, I mean, you'd be surprised at how absolutely uneventful my day-to-day is, and I like to keep it like that, so that I can have energy on stage. But I think the ancestors had other plans with this latest play that I'm writing, and I was given, I feel as if I was given the play, like, handed to me. I went to Trinidad and Tobago to see my aunt, and she's in Tobago. Okay. And so I will I will say that I do create a purposeful, naive bubble around myself as a part of the protection against, like, anti-Black racism, and a part of the protection against misogyny and other forms of institutionalized oppression. I definitely have a bubble around me, and having been born and raised in Jamaica, like, I've learned that bubble is for me not just about thick-skinnedness, but really living in a super positive state of mind. Right. Like, I pride myself on where I position joy in my body, in my spirit, and how I share that. And so, sometimes that little bubble can be a little bit too full up, and the pressure of it need for just release. Okay. And so I went down on my valid Jamaican passport, with my citizenship card, and as a backup, my expired Canadian passport.
Gotcha.
And yes, for those listening, I could have renewed the Canadian passport, but again, given the banal nature of my everyday, I did not, I was going down for 2 days. I was flying down for 2 days. I thought, well, it's just a quick trip in and out. I'll get the passport renewed when I get back. And, I will also admit, spending so much time on airplanes, like I live in airports, on airplanes, the sort of naivete around travel, my own ease of travel with a Canadian passport. And this is where I think the learning cuts deep, because I travel for work and I travel on the Canadian passport. I realized, and knew this before, but through this past experience, realized how much of a multi-tiered status system we have at work. So one could get accustomed to using a Canadian passport, moving with relative ease, and then forgetting that that's about status. That's about the status of the Canadian passport. That's about status of Canadian citizenship. And so I went down on my Jamaican passport, not having renewed the Canadian one with the citizenship card, believing I'm going down for 2 days to the Caribbean. It's like, all right. All right. A lot of folks are like, that's just silly. What kind of world? And yes, and I absolutely am now reminded of that. So went down, simple, got into the country. So Canadians, Jamaicans you don't have to have a visa to visit Trinidad, which is wonderful. That's wonderful. And I feel is an indication of the allyship and solidarity and the potential for that to grow. So that was beautiful. Got in, no problem. On my way back, I flew through. I was in Tobago, so then I flew from Tobago to Trinidad. Got to Trinidad Airport, and that's where I was stopped. And so, a number of things have come out in the media, and it's beautiful that I have a chance to clarify. So my experience of being stopped is one of the things that was really jarring, because I felt in my body, and still do feel, that I was stopped because of the initial Jamaican passport, that the Jamaican-ness, I do feel that way. And was questioned. It's not until the end of that process, which was hours later, that the fact that I didn't have a visa in the Jamaican passport, that came out. It wasn't until the end of that.
Oh, wow. Hours later?
So it's not that, because a lot of folks are like, well, the rule is the rule, right? So the new rule for clarification is, the rule for clarification is, in order to enter Canada, Jamaicans need a visa. Now, even though I can prove that I'm Canadian with the citizenship card, that's not a travel document. So that is essentially, that's the rule. So there are two issues that are important for me to note. One is the multi-tiered system that I talked about earlier, where if you have a Canadian passport, of course, you're going to be treated differently than if you have a Jamaican passport, which says to me that is a systemic racialization, criminalization of Black and brown people. Right. And that is on the Canadian side, that these Canadian laws that create these multi-tiered systems where some people have status and some people don't have status. So if I did not have Canadian status, I would not be welcome to the dignity and the humanity. The same dignity and the same humanity if I had Canadian status. So that's a big piece. That's a big piece, and that many of us around the world reinforce those multi-tiered system. Also to note is the Harper government changed and a lot of immigration laws that now people are just becoming aware of. Bill C-22 and 24 trying to reverse many of those laws. Bill C-43, many of those laws were snuck in the budget bills under people's noses, and people are just now beginning to see how they're affecting them. So now you can imagine airlines and other countries, such as the countries in the Caribbean, are accountable to these laws. Absolutely. So that I understand. It's the institutional systemic systems, the same systems, mind you, that brought millions and millions and millions of black people from the continent illegally.
Yep.
Then it was legal,
Yep.
brought people all the way to this world without their permission for labor, for capital gain.
Yep.
And those same laws have been worked over centuries to now be able to tell people, no, now we don't need your labor in that way. You can't come to the country.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's thick.
Yeah.
It's thick on top of the fact that we're on First Nations land. Like the whole thing is just absolutely absurd. That's one piece that has to do with Canada.
It's a pretty big piece.
The other piece is how, because us in the Caribbean and other countries who've gone through this colonial experience have to be willing to talk about how those colonial experiences set the stage for how we treat each other.
Right.
So I'm saying, okay, fine, there's a law. I've got to get a travel document that is legally sanctioned by Canada in order to return home. Okay.
Right.
All right. Cool. However, as a person who is the interface between, travel, like you're the first person we see, you're the agent we see.
Right.
How do we treat each other when we are informing each other of these laws?
Right.
I was fully told to go back to Jamaica. Was I coming from Jamaica to the country? No, I was coming from Toronto. So where am I going back to Jamaica to?
Wow.
Where am I going back to Jamaica to? And when I said, I didn't even come to Trinidad. I actually went to Tobago.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. It's 12 o'clock at night. I'm in the airport. I'm scared. I'm freaked out on my mind. I don't have any access to anything. I was not offered like, okay, is there any way to help? And so I have to make clear that the people who took care of me post this incident were Trinidadian people.
Right.
The beautiful, amazing Trinidadian people.
Yeah.
So it's really also important to note that when we begin to get into these systems, these political systems, these immigration systems, that for those of us working within these systems, we really have to look at our behavior and look at how we treat and criminalize people based on where they come from, or based on how we look at them and see, well, what class, and assess what class they're in. You know what I'm saying? So the questions that I then began to pose through social media, well, first of all, I let all of my people know what was happening, because one, I was freaked out, and two, it's like, then who's gonna come to help? You know, so I let everybody know, and within hours, an incredible village, a global village, but very definitely concentrated in Toronto, responded to my calls for help.
Nice.
And it's through that I was able to start a process of getting a renewed passport, which the social media campaign even helped to speed up that process, because initially I was told, you're gonna have to be here for 3-4 weeks waiting for this thing to come through, waiting for this passport to come through. It's like, but why would that be? It's an emergency situation. I was told at the High Commission that it's not an emergency situation. Well, it was an emergency situation when the MP started calling, and all the folks from Toronto were like calling and tweeting and like, are you serious? Like give her an emergency passport and let her come home. Like, oh, this is her home. And so I don't know if initially people thought my documents were forged. I have no idea.
Oh man.
But all I know is the how I felt during the treatment was as if I deserved no dignity. And it's not about, some people are like, well, maybe she believes because she's an artist, she's a what. I'm like, are you serious? So does one have to qualify why they need to be treated with dignity? Are you for real?
Right.
Whether rich or poor or size of one's body, what one does, like everybody needs to be treated with dignity. This has nothing to do with being an artist.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody needs to be treated with dignity. And yes, I can understand that if you are, because Caribbean Airlines then came out with a statement saying, well, it's clear why she was not allowed to return Toronto, because she did not possess the proper travel documents. However, nowhere did they address the experience of xenophobia or the experience of racial profiling that I feel I experienced, even with that law, because there's a way to deal with people.
Of course.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we can't hide behind, well, this is the law, so I get to treat you like crap.
Right. It's true.
Do you know? I get to tell you to go back to Jamaica.
Right.
I get to call the police
to
the airport. I get to call the police on you in the airport.
Wow.
And I get to tell you that I don't business what you do and where you do. You should have taken care of that when you were traveling. Like, what do those things have to do with not having a travel document?
Right. It's the treatment of people.
It's a treatment of people.
It's the same experience and the same, I guess, argument that the Black Lives Matter movement would have, and just kind of the way that people are treated, just denied basic kindness.
No respect, no love.
respect,
And it's like, when, like, this is, if you think about what the transatlantic slave trade did, right? Let's just go down this road for a moment. And I know it's a difficult road because it's so painful, but one has to contextualize what we're coming out of. If you think of the transatlantic slave trade, was a legal system. This was not I'm gonna like you, so me I go enslave you.
No.
This was not that. We're talking, this is like centuries after trading with Europe was already happening. After Black people were already sailing to the Americas. This is when, this is after folks had gone to Alexandria to Egypt to study. This is after, this is a long after the rest of the world was educated in particular ways by Africa. Are you for real? So this is not like, oh, I know for sure, so them people there are no people. No. Understand that this was a calculated, economic move. And this is after Europe tried to enslave its own people, because first they began with their own people they criminalized and demonized and what. Then they went to the First Nations people. Do you know what I'm saying? So Black people were the next stop on a system to see, wait a second, we can gain financially, economically, we can gain with this system. And we can look at the Portuguese. The Portuguese were the first ones to come out with a model. They started and everybody else was like, oh, this thing look profitable. You know what I'm saying? And then they wrote it into law books. So don't tell me about the law, because laws are written by people. Absolutely. Do you know what I'm saying? It was written into the law that I was not a human being. So don't tell me when I feel you treating me undignified that it's the law, because that's the same law that my great grandmother was told.
Theirs too.
Do you know what I'm saying? That the law says that you're not a human being. So slavery has essentially laid the groundwork for injustice. The same policing system that we are experiencing was perfected. Not it didn't begin in slavery, but it definitely was perfected with the overseer and with that system inveigling Black people to police other Black people. The treatment, the beatings, the whippings, the very shape of the handcuffing. All of that was perfected during slavery. So I understand that the system I'm living in, it has a long tradition of oppression of Black people, but also working people. So class is such a crucial part of the struggle that we're fighting right now. Class and race, you throw in gender in there, and then you throw in all the other ways in which people are oppressed. You throw in sexuality, you throw in ability, you throw in all these parts of ourselves that make us unique, and where the state, well, right now is a corporation. It's not even the state so much as the corporation can continue on its journey towards mass accumulation and control. So it's really important to look at that legacy, because then we can better understand the context that we're in. Of course, it's no surprise that we have classism in the Caribbean, and that we have shadism in the Caribbean and colorism in the Caribbean, because how could we not have that? Given the legacy,
it's a direct result. So you mentioned to me earlier that your play that's coming up is actually, it parallels your experience in Trinidad.
So wonderful. I'm just like, sometimes you have to be reminded of what's actually happening on the ground. Because I will say this, earlier I was alluding to creating a survival bubble.
Yeah.
And a part of my survival bubble is moving amongst people who are truly invested in love.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I surround myself with people
to.
who at the core are driven by love. And let me tell you, I'm in a beautiful community. Me love them, I say. Me love them, love them, love them. Me love them so till, because they are incredibly hardworking creatives who are raising families, who are in all different kinds of work, like occupations.
Yeah.
They are so it's a very multidisciplinary environment. So it's not one set of people.
Right.
But what we all have in common is like a real humility and an honesty around the fact that we believe that love sits at the center of this whole process. Like, so at the Water Theatre, which is a theatre company that I founded, it's in the Distillery District. We run tuition-free year-long arts residencies for
Very
emerging artists, and it's just, they're so amazing. And then there are like other communities that I get to participate in that really creates this larger environment. So, okay, I definitely live in a bit of a bubble. Okay?
I think we all live in a bubble.
Do you know what I'm
It's
saying?
not
Like,
just you.
You know what I'm
It's not
saying?
just you.
I will
Yeah.
live in a bubble. And sometimes that can, it protects us, but maybe it can remove me a bit from like the dirty that people are experiencing every day. So we are all exposed to different levels of discrimination, and sometimes when you can protect yourself, you surround yourself with your people, then you don't feel certain things as
It's
much.
true.
And it's real. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's true.
That's my experience right now. I've had other experiences. So this re-exposure, this like classism where, I literally felt like, because we go to airport in some slacks and like a t-shirt and like a here, one mohawk, and really
Sneakers,
just
and you're
on some
comfy,
like, I'm
chilling.
just like, I'm here for 2 days.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No kind of makeup and rare teach, none of
chilling.
that.
Yeah.
And was really reminded that people read you. They read you.
Absolutely.
And read you whether or not you should get respect or not. And read you whether or not they think you have money. And read you whether or not they think you have status.
And sense.
And read you whether or not they think you are of a class that is worth
Right.
any kind of
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't live in that world.
Right.
I don't live
Yeah.
in that world. I live in a world where I'm working with my colleagues, and we have this mutual respect.
Yeah.
And we're really trying to just create a lot of love and vibration. And we might have to do an action and go down at, the headquarters and sit on pan stoop, and you know what I'm saying? It's a different exposure.
Yeah.
And so the experience reminded me that, don't get too comfortable in a sister.
Right.
Like be safe, but don't forget the rawness, the vulnerability of the everyday for people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For all of us. Don't forget that. And I think that that's what needed to come into this new play, Eschew Crossing the Middle Passage. The play is literally about Black bodies in crossings, like crossing borders, crossing boundaries, crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Do you know what I'm saying? And how we experience that. That's what the play is about. And so this experience just showed me, I think you're forgetting certain things.
Right.
I think you're forgetting certain things, because you say, go through that.
Yeah.
You might just be forgetting certain things,
Right.
And so it was a wake up, like, whoa, right.
Yeah.
As soon as the Jamaican passport coming out of the picture, everything changed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because probably if I had the Canadian passport from the get-go, I wouldn't have gone through that,
You probably wouldn't have.
Isn't it?
No, you wouldn't have.
You see me? But as soon as the Jamaican passport came into the picture, everything started to change. How people see everything changed. Like, like a suspicious Jamaican. You know, and it's like, right, this is what we go through. And sometimes it's because you're Jamaican. Sometimes because of the shade of black you are. Sometimes it's because your hair is how it is. Sometimes it's because people look on you and they're, how you fit in on the picture. Sometimes, you know, and this is the reality, you know? True. And so the fortunate thing is the team of Eshu were able to work that in. So Bakari I. Lindsay is the choreographer director from COBA, Collective of Black Artists. He's a co-artistic director who I'd wanted to work with for years. And so he's mentoring me right now. I'm doing an apprentice dancer program at COBA.
So you're going to add dancers to the list of other stuff
Yes, so Eshu is just a dance piece, eh?
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yes, my friend. Okay. Dance, may I dance and
Dance,
prance.
Debbie, dance.
May I dance and prance. This is a lot of movement, but theater, but a lot of movement.
That's
and
actually
singing.
a really cool way to tell the story of
movement, right? Because we move, our bodies move. We move.
Oh my goodness, that's actually really cool. Because
so
I just automatically
because I haven't been saying that.
Yeah, no, that is cool. And the assumption is that it's going to be poetry, or it's going to be words, and it's going to be acting.
There is poems, you know.
Yeah, but
like
the movement just kind of
really
closes the circle.
A dance piece.
See,
okay.
Yes, my friend. I like it.
And Tuku is the musical director, and Amina Alfred is singing, and Tuku's also singing. So there are really three of us on stage.
Okay.
Three of us on stage, and really I'm so excited for the piece because I've had to grow because it's not exactly what I did in the last trilogy, the Sankofa trilogy. So I've had to stretch and grow, and we basically used the last couple of weeks since I got back from Trinidad to work the script and incorporate the latest experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So just to kind of step back a bit, Eshu passing through the middle.
Eshu crossing the middle passage
is part one of the Orisha trilogy.
Yes, my friend.
Yeah, did my research. I got it right.
Yes. So the Orisha trilogy. Oh, this is so exciting. I just have to take a moment.
Take a moment.
Just have to take a moment because, you know, we are a spirited people. We are. We are a spirited people, and all my work, I can say all my work is in honor of the ancestors. Okay. I make no apologies. Ooh, I feel what? None. Right? All my work is in honor of the ancestors, and I honor the ancestors because every day I think to myself, Sistrin, how did they survive?
Right.
Isn't it? How?
It's true.
How did you survive that?
Honestly.
For me to be here. How did you survive that? Isn't it? I got you one little thing in the Caribbean, and you see me just a shake and a quake and a ball
and that was their everyday
do you know what I'm saying?
Existence.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Times 100.
So let's just acknowledge and recognize, you know. Yep. So it's my work is first and foremost in honor of the ancestors, and then my work is in honor of us who are alive now. That's what I create for.
Okay.
And it's really incredible to have the opportunity, and I do not take it for granted, to have the opportunity to make art that has at the very center of it is a dialogue with us,
Right.
both the inner us of Black people and then the outer us of the entire human collective, right? About our position in the world and the choices that we're making.
Right.
Like that for me is what sits at the nucleus. Like, what is your place?
Right.
And what are you doing with it? That's it, you know? I will use anything that is available to me to have that dialogue. And so this latest trilogy is really me just trying to be as honest as I can be about where I'm at right now and what I would like to contribute to our human experience.
Okay.
That's essentially it. And so I have to go back to what I understand to be a beginning. Do you know what I'm saying? The experience of crossing the middle passage is a big deal because it has shaped what I am. Like I can't run from that.
No.
And I don't feel burdened by that. I don't.
That's good.
I don't feel burdened by that because I ask myself, how did they survive? And they did. So that's a celebration.
Because I think a part of the reason why it's something that people kind of shy away from talking about is because there's a burden that comes with it. Right?
Me no feel no kind of burden. None whatsoever. Me no feel no burden. What I feel is an incredible responsibility to thrive.
Right.
Because they survived.
Yeah.
That is what I feel.
Okay.
And a part of that thriving is being able to look back at the fact that our ancestors weren't allowed to bring anything with them on those ships, but they brought everything.
Yeah.
Including the Orishas. So the Orishas are a pantheon of deities who are in the Yoruba spiritual tradition.
Yes.
So, you know, there were people taken from all over the continent. Some people from the western parts, some people from central, some people from southern, some people from east, some people from north. So
everywhere.
Who came to the Caribbean, and very deliberately so, different nations of people were put together so that they wouldn't be able to communicate, essentially. However, the brilliance of our people, the sheer brilliance, what they did was they created the same way languages are created, which is like the languages meet and then they sort of work out happens organically.
Like
that's
a hybrid.
So one, they did that and continue to do that, our ancestors. And then what they did with their spiritual entities was they hid them often behind the Christian entities. In order to be able to worship.
Right.
So they would be worshiping the Christian entities seemingly, but behind them were their own entities.
Right.
And the Yoruba spiritual tradition, like the spiritual tradition that came out of other parts of the continent, survived that way. Interestingly enough, when you get to the Caribbean, like for example, Cuba, that tradition is called Santeria.
Right.
And that version is highly syncretized with Catholicism because that's how it survived.
Right.
You get to Jamaica, you can see Kumina. You know, you get to Trinidad, you can see Shango Baptist, and you get to Brazil, you can see Candomblé. You get to Haiti, you can see Voodoo. When you look at these different traditions, they all overlap and intersect because of the process of enslavement, where the people were made to be together. So one of my most intriguing areas of interest is this question, how did they survive? When I start to ask that question and I begin to look, of course, religion, aka spirituality, or spirituality aka religion, however you want to take it,
want to put first,
is of course sitting at the very center of that question. Because we are a spirited people and a spiritful people. You wonder how Black people so Christian and think, because we are a spirited people. And we're a spiritful people, and Christianity, that syncretism with Christianity is a large part of how we survive. We have to also understand how it is that we can be so vehement about being Christian, because We did need to survive.
A friend of mine, we're talking about that exact thing, and how for some people it's literally a coping mechanism. Like you have to have, just like somebody, not to equate the two, but somebody who is addicted to drugs, somebody who eats food,
your vice,
as
your
their addiction, like you need something to hold on to, right?
And we you know, sometimes we get upset at each other about our religious choices and things, but we have to understand, we have to contextualize. There is a reason why Black people, not only the social conditioning, yes we were given the Bible, yes we were this, yes, all of that, but we needed to survive. We needed to survive. And so we did. So the fact that we are raised Christian in Jamaica, and the social conditioning is like, yes, somebody can give you something. Some of us took that something and still had the African deities behind. Some of us took that something, and then over time it's like, actually I'm just dealing with Jesus, and I'm just dealing with but the point of my offering is that what sits at the center, I believe, and I don't know, maybe this is naive, I don't know, I defend my naivete. Faith.
I agree.
Faith. Okay?
Yes.
Faith. So me can't have a conversation with anybody religious because I understand faith. And I understand, like, you need to believe to survive. Like, I get that. So my investigation is, how did the Orishas survive that journey? So
the trilogy starts with the Middle Passage, and then
so it starts in the Middle Passage with Eshu, who is the deity of the crossroads. Eshu opens or closes the crossroads. Then the ship travels across the Atlantic. By the time it docks, we're in the second play, Shimamiwata. And Shimamiwata is set in Jamaica. And of course, you know, my work it's super provocative. I have to talk about the thing that is most hot. So for Eshu, it's like enslavement and how we deal with that. For the Jamaican piece, we're looking at homophobia. Not that Jamaica are the only homophobic place.
No, it's
not. Because I know say when you start to look on things, people love to say, but how come you at it? No, actually, I could have looked on any country, but me come from yard, and so of course me I go look on yard. You see me? So because
I love how you
why
switch.
Are you isolating? I'm isolating. I'm not isolating nothing. I just talk about the things. All right. So just give me a moment. So it's set in Jamaica. And because, you know, certain conversations can only happen in your language.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like...
And that's what I'm saying. I love that you switch. So I do the same thing. I'm a Caribbean national, not Jamaican, but I get it. Sometimes it just
certain conversation, isn't it? Because
it just
then people
flows better
want
that
tell
way.
you something, and
it
it's
just
like
flows better that way.
Yeah,
I get it, 100%.
So the second piece is looking at, again, the same thing, spirituality and religion, because that's what's driving the whole piece. It's the Orisha trilogy and their deities. So that's hovering over all the pieces. But the second piece is looking at three friends who grow up in Jamaica, and then one of them is queer, and it's how they negotiate that while being in the church. And again, really topical. If anybody knows what's going on back home, that dialogue is hot. And so I'm contributing my 2 cents to it.
Okay.
And then the third piece, so now the plays are also moving in terms of time. So the first piece is in the past.
Yes.
The second piece is in the present. And the third piece then migrates to the future.
Okay.
And it's an Afrofuturistic piece. So again, looking at where like Black literature and Black sci-fi is going. I'm in love with them. Somebody call me a nerd, big time. Yes. So the third piece is in the future, and it's actually a dub opera. So the first piece is like, looks more like monodrama, but even though there's three of us on stage, the second piece is monodrama, three of us on stage. The second piece will in the future be three actors playing the roles, but we're not there yet. And then the third piece is actually 13 Black women on stage.
Whoa.
Lot of mercy.
That's awesome and terrifying.
Set in the future after the Pickering nuclear plant explodes.
Oh, so that one's set in Toronto.
Yes, my dear. So
in
it
Ontario.
is way in the future, and it's set in Canada. So we go continent, Jamaica, Canada, and it's like a different triangular experience.
Awesome.
And the third play, so the second play comes out. First play comes out April 1st.
Yes.
Runs to the 17th.
Friday.
Mm-hmm. And then the second play comes out May 4th.
Okay.
Runs to the 22nd.
Okay.
And the third play comes out August 4th. So we're really trying to get them in this period so that they're connected like that. I'm really excited about all of them, of course, but extremely excited about the third one because it has so many storytellers in it, and it's a musical. It's a dub opera. It is a dub.
That's sick.
Opera.
I like that. I like that.
You know, and we're dealing with issues of environment and spirituality, and is like a nation, without giving away too much. It is about a nation of women, the nation of women who survived the explosion.
Okay.
And their dealings with the new government.
Wow.
And they're descended from the Black Lives Matter movement.
Very cool. So have you been down to police headquarters?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Cool.
Absolutely. Went down, brought the people some food, because I tell you, that kind of action, let's not think that is any light affair, you know. No. First of all, it cold out a door. You see me?
They were there that night when it was freezing rain
and thing, you know, and them dead with the tent and the tarps, and it, like that kind of physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual vulnerability is big. Mm-hmm. You see me? Like it big. So and just on that level, of course, just on that level alone, like complete solidarity. So I went down, bring some food, and we've been rehearsing this play. So I go down there and just observing what's going on so that I can talk about the thing. And then we started Minsukli, Marcus, Cyrus Ware, and a few other artists who started a letter directly to Win and to the mayor and to some other set of people. Yes, just saying that we're in complete solidarity and allyship with the Black Lives Matter tent city and a list of demands.
Very cool.
Yeah. So if you want to give any support, energy, I know that Black Lives Matter Toronto, and literally you can find them, Black Lives Matter Toronto, are accepting any support you can, from gift certificates of any sort to donations to physical body.
Of the things that they need.
Yes, the physical body. So you could just Google that, Black Lives Matter Toronto, Tent City Toronto, and support in any way you can, because you know maybe not everybody can be down there at the headquarters, but remember, we have to remember how change comes about, and this is how change happens. Like it's a part of it. You know what I'm saying? It's a crucial part of it. True. In whatever capacity you can support, and in your own way, even if it's not visible, still do it, because everybody plays a special role.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, we've covered some heavy topics, and it's been 45 minutes already. Time is flying, lady, flying. Ooh, I think I just need to breathe and just kind of get back to.
Long time and I get for reasons, so you know. Long time and I get for just sit on that all our reasons.
It's been good though. I'm enjoying the conversation for sure.
Sweet.
Just to kind of go back to the beginning of your career, you said you were born and raised in Jamaica. Were you always kind of around the arts? Did you always know this is where you were going to go?
You know, I was raised by my mother, who's a storyteller. So she is a poet and an actor, a playwright, and a teacher, like a drama teacher.
Oh, cool.
You know, I was raised by a drama teacher.
Is she still in Jamaica too?
She's here. Okay. So when I moved to Toronto at 15, both my parents were living here for a few years before. Gotcha. And so my mother and my father was more of like the socialite, you know, in the sense that in his working class community, my father was the one to gather people. And both of them tell me that my dad at like 16, 17 decided, why don't we have a drama club in the community? And once he started the drama club, because both my parents' families are coming from far back. They grew up together. My parents grew up together because they were neighborhood friends. Yeah. And both my grandmothers were best friends.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
My mother's mother, my father's mother grew up best friends.
That's so cool.
And then my mother's sister and my mom were best friends.
Oh,
my
wow.
father's sister and my mom
and
were
your
best
mom.
friends. So you can imagine.
It was just meant to be.
This is like, you can't imagine. And I get the stories from both sides, right? For any of you Jamaicans out there, you know Grand Spen, Chartudley, yeah, that's where my people are from.
That's cool.
And so my dad, you know, would generate these ideas around building something. It's incredible. I love to gather people together and like build things, you know. And then my mother was the storyteller, but my dad got her into that. And so I grew up in that kind of environment. So really, that was the example I had. You know, the early dub poets, the pioneer dub poets, they were aunties and uncles and, you know, again, working class. Right? We're talking about working class Jamaica. So, you know, whereas when you begin to get into the different classes, people, culturally it changes, right? Certain things you don't do, certain ways you don't behave, certain things,
true.
you know what I'm saying? So this experience of mine was, you know, speaker box on the road, on Friday night, Saturday night. It was, you know, go over to the neighbor, she take care of you. If you're out of hand, don't know, so she's going to be your mother as well. And me, I go over there with no shoes, crossing the road, them kind of vibe there.
Yeah.
That's how I grew up. And so, you know, storytelling is an intrinsic part of that.
Absolutely.
You know, that just come natural.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That was my environment. So I started early. My mom sent me to Jamaica School of Drama every summer, and I would do the plays in the summertime. So I get like early. I've actually never done anything else.
Wow.
You can imagine that?
Yeah.
So it's always been storytelling as, you know, hobby growing up, and then storytelling as professional. And that's what it is.
Wow.
That's just what it is.
Well then, guess your path was just set. You didn't have a choice.
Never have no choice. Never have no choice in the matter, my friend.
Oh man. Okay, so then do you think the next generation of D'bi, are they gonna kind of walk in the same?
This is the thing. I love that my boys Moon and Phoenix, they're 7 and 11 now. Moon is almost 12. One more month and Moon will be 12. Wow. Lord have mercy.
Count those grades.
Oh Lord, I said them my pop out the TV people. No one can't see it on YouTube. Let me tell you, I said the grade and my pop out. Every show I go to, if somebody comes up to me and said, I remember you when I was in elementary school. Okay, that's an exaggeration. They say high school, but can you imagine? You know, the wonderful thing is that me and them usually look the same age.
Not only are we spirited people, but we got that youth potion.
I love it. Oh my God. If it wasn't for that youth potion, I don't even know. My friends keep saying, yeah, the grades is the only thing is the grades. You have so many grades to be
true.
like every day I see you have more grades.
If you dyed the hair, nobody would know.
But me can't do that because then me I gonna know some me I dye my hair. I'm like, I can't do that. I can't dye my hair. But yes, my darlings, your girl is fully graying up, okay?
That's okay. You're graying with grace. It's all right.
Fully graying up.
It's all right. You're graying with grace. Oh man. So yeah, they're in the storytelling.
I love that they're being given all the room and space they have, so they can choose. Like Moon and Phoenix, like they're always around art. Moon is into science, you know. He builds things. Like he just built yesterday. He was showing me this light device that he built, and you touch it one way and the lights come on. And so he's engineering, science, them kind of things. And Phoenix, the younger one, is floating, you know. He's just like, dance, no, drumming, no, piano, no, you know. So, and it's like, you're 7.
Yeah,
you can do that.
Out.
Whatever they do will be beautiful, because me love a science, you know, and me love art, and me love the people them who choose to do, like, you know, the physical things and gardening and all that. Like the beauty that comes in everything that we do. Yeah. I am like, you love it, you do it well. Yeah. You're contributing. Like, then what? Then no problem. Then
Right.
you know. So I just want, what I don't want is for them to feel cornered or narrowed.
Right.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
You know, that's just like, the world is a very big place.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we have to teach our children, particularly given our experience historically, is that it's actually very big, no matter if, you know, people want it to seem small for
Right.
you. And
Right.
so with them, I take them all over the world with me, and my gift to them, which is what my mother gave to me with humble means. My gift to them with humble means and through humble means is, it is a large world.
Yeah.
And you have a place in it. You do.
Yeah.
And you have a unique place in
Right.
it, just like everybody else.
Yeah, of course.
That's the teaching.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, just kind of I guess a point of interest, and it ties in a bit with what you were speaking about earlier in terms of the system and
Yeah.
the foundation upon which everything else is built, that kind of governs our experiences. What do you think our role is in elections? You think we should
Elections.
be participating? Are you following the U.S. elections?
Yeah. Oh, Lord of mercy. How could I not? Jesus have mercy. Even if you don't want to follow it, I go shove itself down your throat hole. Okay. Oh, my
so
goodness.
Caribbean.
We...
Chua-tool.
Chua-tool.
It's
Yeah.
so Caribbean.
Oh my God, I go all over the place because I'm
Yeah.
feeling so much.
Yeah.
You know, we're all feeling so much. We have heard about, read about, story told about times in history that have been led by very dangerous, fascist,
Yeah.
hateful governments. We know about those times. We know historically about what it means to have the hatred written into law books. We know and have heard about what different groups of people who still continue to be persecuted by these wickedness, right? So we know what that is, and it's
Yeah.
very scary.
It is.
It's serious, like
Absolutely frightening.
it's very, very scary. I don't know what to do with that. So here is what I do with that.
Yeah.
I can outstretch my arms this far. And so I really pay attention to what is happening within the environment between me and how far my arms go. That means looking at my own behavior and looking at my own hatreds and fascisms and dictatorships, and like looking at the very systems of oppression that are out there in the world that are being reproduced, looking at how those systems function within my own body. How am I dealing with my children? How am I dealing with my friends? How am I dealing with my colleagues? How am I dealing with the people in my environment?
Right.
I look to that place because it's a place where I'm most empowered to make change. If I am unable to look at that place and look at how I oppress people in similar ways as they're oppressed in society,
Right.
then I can affect
Yeah.
that environment. And I have to believe in my body that is making a big difference. The way that I deal with the villagers who come out to see my work, the way that I make myself accessible, the way that I humble myself to listen to what they're saying, for me is a way to affect change. The way that I then participate in my political systems, whether
Right.
it's like sending information out or voting or supporting in whatever ways I can a movement like Black Lives Matter, I can affect change. So I offer to each of us, I know we can feel disempowered and I know we can feel disenfranchised, and yes, and I feel those things too. And what I remind myself of is make change in the ways that you can affect change, which is you have to look close.
Yeah.
You have to look close because sometimes the horizon could be so far away. You're trying to reach it, and you can't touch it. And then you just feel like, you know what, nothing no worth
It
it.
doesn't make sense. Yeah.
So one has to look at one's direct environment, let that empower you, make changes in that. And then in whatever other ways that you can affect change, then you have to try it.
Right.
You have to try a thing.
Yeah.
We might not be able to switch up and stop up the US election, but we certainly can like self-care.
Right.
And we certainly can encourage the person beside us to self-care. We certainly can take care of our children. We certainly can model the behavior that we want to see come. And then we can also contribute to those movements that are happening and making change, like the Black Lives Matter movement.
Excellent. Cool. All right. I think we have about 3 minutes left. So for our listeners, why don't you tell them how they can get in touch with Debbie, how they can get tickets to the play, the dance show,
the dance hall show. That's what's gonna be
where it's
floating
happening,
around.
all of that good stuff.
Yes. The a one-stop shop. There are so many ways you can get information. But if you go to www.watah, which is WATAH.com, as soon as you go to that website, it pops up. Okay. And from there, it'll tell you all the information. Okay. So the www.watah, WATAH.com is a Watah Theatre company. Yeah. And then so you can get information there. Issue Crossing the Middle Passage is the first play, as I mentioned. That starts next week, Friday. Okay. We're sold out for opening. We run for 2.5 weeks. Yeah. So really, don't take it for granted. Like get your stuff. Get your tickets, because, we're hoping that it does really well. We've sold out for the opening, and we'll see how the word spreads. Yeah. And then once you have information on issue, then you'll have information on the others. So I would just say, don't worry about remembering a million things. It's at the Storefront Theater, which is at Bloor and Ossington. So Storefront Theater, which is at storefronttheater.com if you want to go there. Storefronttheater.com, Bloor and Ossington. But if you need to remember one thing right now, get a pen so you can write it down. Okay? You have the pen? All right. www.watah.com. As you enter the website, the flyer pops up, and then you can get all other information from that.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. That was awesome.
It's been awesome, eh? I found out that Debbie used to do radio. She used to be on the board. She used to be a host on a radio show.
Yes, so dear.
I don't know. I think if iLive is hiring, we might have to
radio.
Hit up D'bi.young.
That's it. Radio, and I love radio.
It's okay. One of these Sundays when I need some time off, I'll call you to sit in for me.
I'll come and tell stories. One after the other. Once upon a time.
Yeah, give Patrick someone new to harass and talk smack with instead of me.
And big up to Patrick. We're sending you lots of love.
Yes, we miss you, Patrick.
Lots of love.
But take your time. You know, it's been peaceful today. So thank you very much. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in today. It has been awesome. Thanks for joining us on the Patrick O. Morris Show. Stay tuned for DJ sessions. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Peace out.
The best internet radio station around, iLife Radio, the new social network.
Hey, this is Emily King, and you're listening to iLive Radio.